Have you ever met a person who's so enigmatic that you become their fan in an instant? Someone who's so passionate about everything he does, be it his profession or be it his passion regarding music, astronomy, photography, and so much more. And yet, someone who's so humble and so down to earth. I think I just got lucky and found one such person. So, hello everyone. Welcome to yet another episode of Renaissance with Swati. And today I have with me Sumit Singh, who has all the great qualities of a great leader, a great entrepreneur, a passionate human being, and an even more passionate musician. So, hi, Sumit, how are you?
Hi, I mean, that's too much to ask for, but I'm sure. Uh, but how are you doing?
I'm doing great, thank you. Yeah. So, before we start, I would like to say a few lines about Sumit. Sumit is the co founder of InterviewClub as well as the founder of the PMx group. He plays 30 different musical instruments. He's a nature, food, and travel photographer, and he loves astronomy. He is an alumni of Harvard Business School. I am Lucknow, IIT Delhi, a ex-Microsoft, a TEDx speaker, and the list of fancy titles will go on and on and on. And I met Sumit just a few days back, and he vibrates such positive energy with him that I connected with him instantly. So, Sumit, would you like to tell anything more about your journey?
My journey has been full of accidents, I believe. My brother got into IIT, so I had to follow him, typical class.
Typical Indian families.
When he went to IIM Calcutta, then the pressure was on me. That I'll also go to IIMs, and I did. So, he did a couple of things I had to follow through. That's how life happened. He used to play guitar, I learned guitar. He used to play keyboard, I learned keyboard. Uh, he used to, so he's been the cooler one. He used to do all the cool, and I learned just by being there. So I think I've been extremely lucky to have a brother like him.
Mhm.
Besides that, just you know, IIT happened because, of course, the competition and everyone kind of expected you to do that.
Yes.
But that's where I found my passion of music.
Okay.
Um, I
Okay.
really grew as a musician there, because thanks to Spick McKay, thanks
Okay.
to all the amazing artists who would come to IIT to perform. Uh, I learned Indian classical just by observing people and playing those ragas. And we had some
Right.
amazing band,
Right.
and we had a band back then,
Nice.
classic.
Nice. Nice.
Uh, we used to call ourselves Antariksh.
Wow.
we are a, we were a we were a very experimenting kind of a band. We had a khavaj player and a mridangam player and a tabla. We have a
Wow.
Hindustani violin and a Carnatic violin. We had a drummer who would play a bass guitar, and he was a
Right.
Carnatic classical guy. So we
Nice.
had a huge mix of. The vocalist was an amazing vocalist. He was a Hindustani
Mm-hmm.
classical vocalist,
Oh, wow.
and I learned a
Wow.
lot about Hindustani classical from him. So it's, just been lucky with people around me. And that's something which I cherish. I think if you just take this network of people that I have around me,
Right.
then I don't think I have anything else to offer. That's the most
That's
valuable
wonderful.
asset.
That's
Uh,
wonderful. You're talking about Spick McKay, you're talking about Indian classical music. So now I remember that, when I was in school, Spick McKay used to come to our school as well. And they used to perform such beautiful sessions. And, even as a kid, when I used to see them performing, we were just like, left in awe that, wow, this is so beautiful. And I always liked Spick McKay. And I was not into music, but then I did learn Kathak, the Indian classical dance. So I still
nice.
love I still love music, music, dance, art. Basically, that is also what I feel fulfills us, fuels us.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I think the whole mission of Spick McKay, the entire effort of bringing these living legends to
Right,
school, and you
right.
could go talk to them, you can shake hands, you can meet them, you can have a meal with
Exactly,
them,
exactly,
is such a privilege that a lot of us don't really
exactly.
understand
No, I can understand.
can't even realize. how lucky we are that we have something called as PicMake amongst
Right.
ourselves, to
Right.
be able to sit around with Pandit Hariprasad Chaurasia,
Mm-hmm.
uh, uh, Ustad Amjad Ali Khan,
Mm-hmm.
and living
Right.
legends, right? Just
Right.
being in the same room with these guys and they're talking music. It's
Right.
like you could
Okay.
just be in that zone and learn so much just by
Okay.
observing. And I think that grounded me a lot. Early, typically
Mm-hmm.
when you learn guitar, young days, young boys, you learn guitar
Mm-hmm.
to
Right.
impress girls.
Right. Right.
And that's a typical journey that I also have.
Right.
Yeah, I'll play.
Okay.
But something happened in my second year. I think
Okay.
that changed me. When one of the concerts I was with Speak McKay, and that's where one of the legendary artists, he said, you play music to express yourself, not to impress.
Wow.
And that stuck with me like how. And I changed overnight.
Wow.
My music changed overnight. My expressions of uh, notes and the way I would play music, that
Wow.
changed overnight. I
Wow.
became such a grounded musician after that.
Mm-hmm.
That so now I play music for myself. Of course, as an artist, you
Mm-hmm.
entertain.
Right.
But when I'm
Right.
in that zone, I'm performing. Then I'm
Mm-hmm.
performing, to express myself rather than
Yeah.
to impress anybody else or the
Right.
audience. And even just one person in the audience,
Right. Right. Of
it's
course.
absolutely fine.
I saw,
That
yeah, yeah, continue, please.
go ahead, go ahead, go ahead. Yeah.
So I recently saw the TEDx talk in which you talked all about musical instruments. And all those musical instruments I had not even heard of. And you talked about musical instruments across the centuries, how they were formed, and across the world, across different parts of the world, how they are played, across different parts of India, how they evolved. And it was just so beautiful and opened my eyes to the world culture that, most of us are not even aware of. So how did you start exploring all those things?
IIT. So, I may not have really been one of those 9 pointers, 10 pointers, but I have a lot to be thankful about when it comes to music and my life in general to IIT.
Okay.
I was doing a course in IIT by the name of noise engineering,
Okay.
and we would
Mm-hmm.
look basically try and
Mm-hmm.
understand what's noise and what signal. And as a part of that whole,
Mm-hmm.
and I took that course because people could really get good grades in that course, and
Right.
and world has its funny ways, right?
Of course.
So universe had its way of bringing these instruments to my life, and so it happened that when I was doing a
Mm-hmm.
project as a part of my noise
Mm-hmm.
course, we were to do a noise spectrometry for a,
Mm-hmm.
and we had to
Right.
find a product.
Right.
So I went into the library, and we have one of the largest library
Mm-hmm.
I think in Asia we have one of the largest today,
Wow.
IIT Delhi.
Okay.
So I went in, I was searching for the books, and that's where I came across something called the Chinese peace bell.
Yeah.
So if you've
Yeah.
seen those Chinese movies and the monks, and there is this huge bell that
This
somebody is
this thing, like,
playing.
it's still
No,
played
no,
in the
no, but
monasteries.
it is. That's a miniature version of the same.
Okay.
So the big one is like a life size. You can actually place a human inside. And you would
Oh,
often see somebody, one of the monks, who is
okay.
playing this bell with a tea trunk, with a tree trunk. They're
Wow.
actually hitting it really loud.
Okay.
And this bell would typically can be heard over like kilometers of range. So you know that there is
Right.
some
Right.
monastery
Right.
on top of
Right.
the
Right.
mountain. And there is a bell which is ringing there, and
Mm-hmm.
you get hearing it all the way to the base of the valley. That is
I can
for true. I
understand.
mean,
Yeah. 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 I,
so while I was doing the noise analysis of that whole thing, I came across the Chinese peace bell, which now you see as a
right.
rotating.
Yeah. Right.
It has the same lip structure, and the reason why it resonates is because of the lip
Mm-hmm.
structure.
Mm-hmm.
While I was doing that, I came across a footnote that the same alpha vibrations that 1 hertz,
Mm-hmm.
2 hertz,
Mm-hmm. Right.
those kind of vibrations is what you also find in an instrument called didgeridoo.
Okay.
And that's an Australian instrument.
Right.
A didgeridoo is basically born when the eucalyptus trees in Australia are eaten by the termites and ants. And
Oh,
when the air is passing
okay.
through them, it blows.
Right.
So you just cut that two sides of the
Right.
thing and you actually blow in that. And
That's
that's a
beautiful.
it's believed that if Earth would have a sound of its own, it would be the sound of a didgeridoo.
Wow.
It is
Wow.
it's profound. It's a 40,000-year-old
Wow.
instrument. We
Yeah.
have really old cave carvings of people playing
Mm-hmm.
a didgeridoo in a lot of those caves, right? In
Right.
Australia, in
Right.
the place.
Right. Right.
So from that noise engineering came didgeridoo. While I was doing didgeridoo, I was talking about the beeswax, and then
Mm-hmm.
so bees from beeswax, I was doing another venture in candles.
Right.
But I was doing this, I came across mouth harp, and then the hangpan, then came
Mm-hmm.
ghatam. So
Nice.
Pandit Vikuvinayak Ram plays ghatam.
Mm.
We
Okay.
had during IIT days, I came across the group that plays for Mr. A.R. Rahman.
Wow.
So they were on campus
Wow.
and they were playing. So I
Wow.
invited them to IIT. They played they played a set. I was super lucky to play one song with them on the stage. So that's where I learned Kanjira. That's where I learned
Wow.
Khatam. That's where and that's
Wow.
how one thing led to another. So
You
while
know,
I was
it's so,
doing,
yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
It's so funny that, we think that we are taking science, we are going into IT, and we won't be able to stay in touch with the arts. But hearing your journey, it's the technology that led you to the arts.
No, absolutely. I've had so much fun with um, putting my engineering to test when I was designing instruments. So,
Nice.
I wanted a Ghatam for a performance,
Mm-hmm.
and there was no Ghatam in Delhi. Ghatam is the predominantly Chennai instrument, right?
Okay. Okay.
So I went to the market. I bought a matka. I
Right,
actually
right.
tested like 40 matkas. I
Okay.
checked the sound. So I actually,
Right.
picked the note. I got it back. I
Mm-hmm.
went into the mechanical engineering labs
Right.
and I actually sanded that by hand
Right.
to get the right pitch, which I then used in my concert for a really long time.
That's
So much so that
beautiful.
when I was passing out from IIT, in fact, it's been what, 2003 is when I passed out. Today,
Okay.
2024. Yeah, sitting in like good 2 decades. I still have
Right.
that matka lying in my house
Wow.
in my
Wow.
home in Gaza.
Similar
So,
to this, when I learned Kathak, I told you, right? I still have those tabla in my home. When I used to learn Kathak, so I used to come
no,
and, the Guruji, he used to
absolutely.
play tablas, right? And those tablas are
Correct.
still with me, and it's a treasured possession, that I don't want to let
Legacy.
go of.
It is such a legacy. It's such a part of
Right,
you. It's such a part
right.
of ourselves. So when I travel, I talk to people. I look at food,
Mm-hmm,
look at the tribals. I talk to them about a lot of their
mm-hmm,
instruments. That's where I came across Peppa. Peppa. So if you've seen Bihu, yeah, right, in Assam.
mm-hmm. Right.
When the women in Assam they are
Mm-hmm.
dancing that Bihu dance,
Right,
they have a
right.
hairpin. They typically have these three
Yeah,
hairpins.
they have a famous hairpin, right?
That's an
Yeah, yeah,
instrument actually.
yeah. Nice.
That's
That's
it's
wonderful.
actually an instrument called Peppa.
Mm-hmm.
And Peppa is again mouth harp, which is the Chennai
Okay. Okay.
family.
Okay.
So
Okay.
Mortang, mouth harp, 900 names
Mm-hmm.
across,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
across different parts of the world. I may have one
Right. Right.
somewhere. I'll see if I can find it. Um, so, so while I was doing Peppa, I came across Gogona. So this was Gogona. This was the other was Peppa. Peppa
Oh,
is made out of
okay.
a horn of a buffalo yak.
Oh,
So
okay.
yak horn hallowed, and they put a reed on top of it like a bean, and that's
Okay.
what an instrument.
Oh, wow. Oh,
It's a
wow.
very loud instrument.
That's so
That's how
beautiful.
I
Yeah.
explored one
It
instrument
it
to
has its
another.
own journey, the instruments have their own journey or how they evolved over the years, how they evolved, how people accepted it. It's beautiful.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So,
Yeah, yeah.
that's beautiful. So apart from music, you also are a good photographer, right? You love to capture nature, food, travel, etc. And you also love astronomy. So in this busy life that we have today, we say that, it's so difficult to maintain a work-life balances. So how are you able to give time to your profession as well as, all these passions, music, astronomy, photography?
Um, you need to have your best friend called the Google Calendar, and it really has to be your best friend.
True.
You manage your time. And there was an old saying which somebody once said to me again a couple of years ago. Actually, when I say couple, it's like 3 decades now. And they
Okay.
said that a busy person has time for everything,
Okay.
right? Now,
Okay.
if you're so busy that you have to put everything on your calendar, you have to really manage your time. And
Right.
as you manage time, you actually create a time for a pause for yourself.
Okay. Okay.
You have to create a time for a pause. If you're not creating a time for a pause, then something is wrong. So you got to create those. It may be 2 in the morning for all you
Right.
care.
Right. Right.
It, it could
But
be the
something
time
for
when everything,
yourself.
but you
Yeah.
need to have time for yourself.
That's wonderful.
You need
That's
to have your own pauses. You need to keep this passion alive, because otherwise you're just a dead man walking from
course.
one
I
meeting to
can
another meeting,
understand.
just
Exactly.
performing stuff, and that's about
Exactly.
it.
No, I
So
can
I
resonate with that. I can resonate with that. Yeah.
so I often do a lot of my photography music happens on Saturdays and Sundays.
Okay.
I do shoots. Every time I'm traveling,
Mhm.
I can still carry my big camera that I have,
Right.
which
Right.
a lot of people hate me for doing that. But I love to carry it because the kind of optics, the controls that you get
Of
when you
course.
are
Of course.
holding your own camera, it's a beautiful
Of
results that
course.
you get. So you kind of you just follow it. You make time, you make opportunities for
Right.
yourself to.
Right. Right.
So
Yeah, actually, if you actually want to follow your passion, you will create time for it. Otherwise, we are all just giving excuses to ourselves. If we actually
absolutely.
want to do something, we'll actually take out time for that. That's true. That's wonderful.
So that's what I
So,
do. I still learn music. I still talk to people. I still have a lot of my friends from IIT days who are into dramatics and puppetry and a couple
nice,
of other things.
nice,
I keep in touch with them. Even if I can't go, I still ensure that I
right,
buy their,
right,
that I'm able to contribute in some way
right,
to
right,
the cause, that if I'm not able to do it, at least somebody else is
right.
doing.
Of
I
course,
get to live my dream via them.
of course.
So
Then
it's just
that's
fine.
true. That's true. As part of my college days, I joined the dance society and I joined the fest management community. And then over there, we called it Aura, the dance group. Our dance group name was Aura. And we learned all sorts of different forms of dance from, our
Oh, nice.
choreographer, he taught us ballet. He taught us contemporary dance. He taught us jazz. He taught us hip hop. So till now, I was just a
You
Kathak dancer and Bollywood dancer. But then all the different forms of dances came in front of me, and still today, I feel that when my two daughters grow up, I'll again join the dance classes along with them, and I'll again perform all those different forms of dances. That's
know,
literally so beautiful for us. Art, I think fuels our soul. Art is the only thing that can fuel the soul. Any form of
and come
art.
to it is so funny when people say that my kid is going for arts, and I often see this now. Thankfully, it's opening up a little now, right?
Right,
But
right.
there was a time when if somebody would say my kid is going to study arts or
Hmm.
humanities, people would look down upon
And
them without realizing
totally,
that these are the guys who actually
totally,
go out and make this. They're the
totally.
designers, make our life better. They're the creative guys.
Exactly,
They are the ones
exactly,
who make movies and music and arts, and we find respect in that, and we always look down upon these people. So I
exactly.
find it very pitying that
This
we
is
don't
that,
respect.
key thing that, you have to take science because, it is the key thing. You'll get so much job, you'll get white collar jobs, you'll get a fixed salary. And that's the mindset that people have created, that taking science will give you a blue collar job, you'll have so much money and things like that. But I believe that you should follow what you actually want to do, not go in that rat race. You should do what you want. So talking about that, Sumit, I want to ask you so we have talked about your passion, now profession. So profession wise, you are an ex-employee of a Fortune 500 company. When and how did you realize that you want to be your own boss and start your own?
I think it was since forever. I
Right.
wanted to be my own boss, right? It's tough to keep creative heads excited and motivated.
Right.
So I always wanted to do that. In fact, when I started my career after I am Lucknow, I started with a startup. Jabong is where I
Yeah.
started
Yeah.
my professional
Right.
after I am Lucknow.
Mm-hmm.
And I had fun working and building company, building startups and
Mm-hmm.
building ideas, scaling those
Okay.
operations to
Okay.
a lot of pretty scaled businesses.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so it was an interesting switch for me to go back to a large setup to kind of observe and see how do they work.
Mm-hmm.
And definitely merits of both sides. We see
Exactly.
startups like Zomato, 99 Acres, Times Internet,
Mm-hmm.
Ghana.com. These
Mm-hmm.
guys have done some work, right?
Of course. Of course.
Pinder, all of these guys have done a brilliant
Mm.
job. Uh, they've not become, they haven't reached that level with
Mm-hmm.
wherein we can call a Microsoft or a
Of
Meta.
course, of course, of
So, but
course.
Meta today, Amazon, all of these companies are huge companies. They have really solved some really big problems. So, as a product manager, it's very
Mm-hmm.
fascinating to learn insights on
Mm-hmm.
how are you solving consumer problems? How are you building technologies and products which millions of people are going to use? So, which
Right.
while I was working at different setups, right? Starting from Jabong, I went to Geo Money, then I came back to make my trip, then Times Internet. After Times Internet, I was at Yatra, then I went to Harvard Business School, and I came back. I
Okay.
was at
Okay.
Microsoft. That
Okay.
gave me a very interesting perspective of 0 to 1 journey, 1 to 100 journeys, million users
Nice.
journeys,
Nice.
and now I'm able to appreciate the fact, and probably that's the reason why I'm now into coaching. And I started this platform called Interview Club because I saw that there was this problem that there is a 95% rejection rate in a product manager's interview, right? People
Mm-hmm.
go through grilling rounds of
Mm-hmm.
anywhere from 5 to 7 to 11 rounds of interviews,
Right. Right.
starting
Right.
from the
Right.
first discussion to the offer, right?
Of course.
It
Right.
is just so grilling. And when you have 95% rejection through the process, you can imagine the amount of pressure that the whole
Right.
product
Exactly.
development world today is going through, which is also
Right.
impacting your own personal confidence,
Of
the
course.
way people are approaching product management, life, etc., etc. I know people who laid off like a year ago
Of
and they've not
course.
been
Of
able to find a
course.
job,
Right.
right? It's
Right.
it's
Right.
disheartening.
Right.
And
Right.
the reason why they're not able to find a job is not because they're bad guys.
Mm-hmm.
They're not able to find a job not because they don't have jobs. There are enough jobs in the market as well,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but purely because the competition is so stiff
Of course. Of
and
course.
maybe they are not prepared enough. When I was recruiting a team in
Mm-hmm.
Microsoft and I built three teams there,
Mm-hmm.
I must have interviewed over about 500 people.
Okay.
From some I
Okay.
rejected in the first round itself, some I
Okay.
rejected in
Okay.
the second round, but I must have spoken to at least 500 of these folks. Finally, we
Okay.
rolled out about 30 to 40
Mm-hmm.
offers
Mm-hmm.
span of 2 years.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And when I was doing that, we realized that we had to let go of a few very, very good guys purely because they didn't say the same language.
But don't you
They
think, Sumit, when I interview anyone, I will talk to them for 5 minutes and I'll get that vibe from them. You know, not even if they're not answering the correct questions, but the vibe, the energy that they have, that makes me believe
correct,
that yes, this is the right person. I can gauge that in the first 5-10 minutes itself without even going into
correct,
depths.
correct. So what you're saying is true. That's where the culture round comes in, essentially. But besides just the vibe part of it, so of course, when I hire people, I would hire them. So there are two candidates. One is a great guy with all the right things, but
Right.
no vibe.
Right.
But there is another guy who's checking boxes, a few of them, and has a great vibe. So I'll probably, put my bet on this one
Right.
rather than brilliant, right?
Right.
But in the product management space, now what is happening is that one needs to be really, really clear and crisp with his own thoughts to be
Right.
able to prioritize what you want to build and then to be able to segregate signal from the noise to understand what does the customer really wants
Exactly.
so that
Right.
when we are building a product, we don't end up building a wrong product. And that's the reason why half of these startups fail.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
you've built something
Right.
because you thought this was a cool feature or a cool
Right.
product,
Right.
but now you don't
Right.
have any takers because
Right.
you never
No, I can
looked at it,
understand.
right? So that's a
You know,
challenge.
when I started this podcast, it's my passion project, right? Apart from the profession that I am in, an IT product manager. So, as a profession, I look at it as a passion, when I look at my podcast, I see it as a product. I am being a product manager of this product called a podcast, in which I am looking at the strategy, I'm looking at the roadmap, I'm creating the pipelines, I'm analyzing the market, and I'm building the viewership. So that's nothing
Correct.
but product management. So I also see that, in today's world, when people go out for interviews, product managers are assumed that, if you know this particular technology, only then you would be a good product manager. But product manager or product ownership is never about a technology. It is about your
Correct.
mindset. It is about how you are studying the market, how you're analyzing, how you're creating that go-to-market strategy, how you are selling it to the customers. That is what is
Correct.
the role of a product manager, and which many of the companies today, at least, are not believing.
Correct. Absolutely. So, as rightly said, so you're when you're building products, right, and across the ecosystem now that I've seen, Microsoft is a very different way of approaching building products and markets and everything, purely because there's so much at stake. There are so many
Of
millions of
course,
users. I mean,
of course.
we are building Windows is today working on what 800 million devices. Today, it's insane, right?
Right.
Um, Teams, when I was actually the product manager for Teams and I was a principal
Mhm.
there. Teams is today like what good hundreds of millions of users.
Of
So if you
course.
change one thing in Microsoft Teams,
Exactly.
the you know maybe the whole population of France and Germany would probably get affected out of it.
Of course. Of course.
So
That's true.
you have to be very, very cognitive about how do you prioritize and how do you design these experiments. That is the reason why product managers are now becoming a very key critical role and talent pool,
Right.
which is leading to the whole rejection rate, and which is what basically is my vision. If I'm able to shorten out the entire journey from 9 months, 6 months to a 3 months, and able to get you a job faster, that's basically the mission that with which
Okay.
interview
You.
essentially is work.
So, what all is being done as part of the interview club?
So we definitely doing a lot of our mentoring. We have
Mm.
over about 300 mentors who are offering their time and energies to you. So
Wow.
if tomorrow you have an interview with Salesforce,
Right.
you can come
Right.
on the platform, find Salesforce, and you'll find a few of these mentors, book some time, and you can actually get insider dope from somebody on,
Wow.
say, how should you prepare for it.
Right.
So
Right. Right.
we have people from across 16 countries, over 66 cities as a part of our community. And
Mhm.
of these, about 300 plus people are actually, offering their, time and efforts with, I think the top 25 cities that we have
Mhm.
are the classic London, Bay
Oh,
Area, Bangalore,
okay. Okay.
Delhi, Hyderabad,
Mhm. Mhm.
Singapore, Dublin, Berlin, all of those.
Mhm.
So you actually find people by location, you can find people by company, by Uber,
Right.
Airbnb, whatever.
Right. Right.
You can
Right.
actually people talk to them. We are basically creating that gateway
Mhm.
to access such leadership people who can give you very pointed guidance on how you should approach your career for
Of
that one
course.
particular company.
Of course.
And
Right.
that's one
Right.
part of it. Then they also help
Okay.
you with resume reviews. They can help you with
Okay.
interview preparation.
Mm-hmm.
We are launching
Mm-hmm.
a course for people to break into product management. And today,
Okay.
of course, AI is the whole new
Of
gamut,
course. Of
right?
course. Of
So
course.
we
Of
are designing
course.
a course for AI in product
Okay.
management. What does it mean
Nice.
to build products using AI?
Right.
What
Right.
should you
Right.
do as a product manager, as a talent? How should you go about understanding? So there are
Mm-hmm.
two parts to it. One is how should you use AI for your own job?
Mm-hmm.
And then secondly, how do you use AI to build products for the users? So there are two sides to product management there.
Okay. Okay.
We're
Okay.
designing a
Okay.
course which will cater
Okay.
to both of these.
That's
We
wonderful.
are also working with colleges. We're designing undergrad and postgrad courses. We are working with colleges. So Masters Union is one college, Narsimunji is another. We are now
Wow.
being approached by National Skill Development Center. So
Wow.
we'll be designing a few, few of these modules, and a few of our experts would typically be talking to them, wherein we'll
Okay.
talk about how to prepare,
Nice.
right? A lot of times people don't even know how to answer, tell me about yourself,
Right.
which is which is baffling, right? You know
Right.
yourself more than
Right.
anybody else.
Of
But the
course.
moment this question is asked, people present a 3 minute, 5 minute summary of their resume
Right.
instead of
Right.
talking about yourself.
Right. Right.
It's one of the most misunderstood question in
Right.
an interview ever.
I can
And
understand.
just how to answer this one question, right?
Mm-hmm.
We designed a module for one of the colleges, a
Okay.
3 day
Okay.
workshop for
Mm-hmm.
people only to get this narrative right.
Right. Right. Totally
And
right.
it takes that much amount of time to really
Right.
know yourself.
Of course. I mean, people know
That's
themselves, they don't know how to express themselves. I think that is how you're helping them, how to exactly represent yourself in front of a person who's looking at you.
their own
Right.
narrative about themselves is very different. When they talk to someone in an interview setup is a very different piece. When they're talking to somebody in a party is a very different
Of
piece.
course. Of course.
So we are trying to help them come to terms with what they want, how they're doing, what they're doing. So that's something which is what we are designing and helping people with.
Well.
Uh, Besides all of the other aspects around product management, career,
Mm-hmm.
upskilling.
Mm-hmm.
So see that there are three journeys essentially: breaking into product management,
Mm-hmm.
and then 1 to 6 years, 6 to 15 years, and above.
Okay.
So these are typical journeys in which people need a lot of help. So we are currently focusing for breaking into product management in 1 to 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
Slowly, a lot of people are asking us to design courses so that they can actually be helped for the leadership roles.
Of
So
course.
that is
Right.
something which we're going to
Right.
focus very soon on
Right.
how can you get into a leadership role and what
With
is actually
product
needed
management.
to do in
Right.
product management, because now you're going to be a leader in product management,
Exactly. Exactly.
manager, you'll be an AI leader. So what does
Right.
it all of this mean?
Right.
So
Right.
translating
Well,
all of
that's
these
wonderful.
aspects of interview club is all about.
Well, that's wonderful, because many of us just get lost. Okay, so AI comes, we read a course about AI on Udemy or LinkedIn. And when anything new comes, we just do a course in that. But how to actually implement it, that is nowhere shown in that Udemy course or a LinkedIn course, right? That is actually, you
Correct.
need to learn through experience. And if you have
Correct.
people with you who are experienced enough to guide you in the right direction, I think that is the best thing anyone can ever get. Yeah.
So it's spot on, right? We realize that a lot of people are doing these courses on Coursera, Udemy,
Hmm.
and there's so many other cohorts, right? But people are still coming to us and asking for help for interviews.
Right.
And
Right.
that's basically the genesis which led us to really take a step back and think for what is happening here. That's when
Hmm.
we realized that when people are doing these courses, there is no industry perspective which is being imparted to the people of
Okay.
or an executioner's perspective saying, hey, this is how you do it, right? You
Right.
can watch some
Right.
videos and make some nice butter
Mm.
chicken for yourself, but somebody really standing here and telling you to do but make a butter chicken
Right.
now,
Right.
the result
Of
is very
course.
different.
Of course.
That's we
Well,
are
that's
the
wonderful. That's wonderful. The kind of courses you are drafting, the kind of mentoring that you're giving. And again, the PMx group, how you are creating a network of people who, actually can help each other, actually can help the product management community grow. That is wonderful. So,
Thank you so much.
what was your idea behind that? Starting the PMx.
Uh, So this group kind of started when groups came to WhatsApp. It's a 5, 6 year old group,
Okay.
right? Uh, we're still not even 1,000 people. We are growing very, very slowly because the narrative was very simple that you don't
Mm-hmm.
want the herd race to come in and then dilute the value proposition or dilute the conversations here. So
Mm-hmm.
as you will see, the part of the group, we have only those people who are part of the product ecosystem, and they're
Right.
currently
Right.
working in the whole ecosystem.
Of course. Of
That
course.
because the quality of conversation, if I'm like, if I'm not a chef, then I'll not understand what does a caviar mean or what
Of
does it
course.
mean
Of
to
course.
blanch vegetable, right?
Of course.
Uh, but for someone who's in the food industry, they kind of live with that every day.
Right.
Similarly,
Right.
for somebody who's
Right.
not in product ecosystem, to then talk to them about, hey, what's your AB looking like? It'll
Mm-hmm.
take a lot of time to explain what is AB, what is
Right.
experimentation,
Right.
how are you, how are you setting your own metrics.
Right. Right.
So it's a group
Mm-hmm.
which has only seasoned people having work experience and only quality conversations. So that led to the formation of the group to bring everybody together. And from there,
Nice.
we kind of now growing global. So it's only
That's
about a
what.
matter of we actually, go open up a couple of more chapters
That's
across the
wonderful.
world.
That's wonderful. So Sumit, my next question is that, what is the difference between a startup and an MNC? When you work in a startup, like you're doing right now, starting your own startup, what kind of pressures, what kind of risks, what kind of things that are going on in your mind as compared to when you're working in, say, a big MNC?
It's a world of difference, actually. Right? When you're building your own startup, you have to learn so much
Mm-hmm.
because you do everything yourself.
Right, right,
Uh, so fundraising to understanding how the company needs to be structured, to legal,
right.
to build a website, to doing your SEO, to your marketing, to your GTM, to customer care, to FAQs. You have to do
Right,
everything yourself, right?
right,
Which in MNC, you're kind of safeguarded there.
right.
Also, the scale kind of differs in both of these places. In
Mhm.
a startup, you may be talking to 100 people, and that may be a universe to get started
Right,
with.
right, right.
The the stakes the stakes are high there as well because you really
Mhm.
want to build a product that these 100 people are going to use.
Of course. Right, right,
In an MNC, you already have a created market. You already have a market which you want to go and cater to,
right,
unless
right,
you're
right.
going for a new product launch, and which is a different ballgame altogether.
Mm.
But then again, somebody is already kind of done the due diligence. Somebody's
Mhm.
already understood want to
Mhm.
launch a product in a new market, what that
Mhm.
product is going to be. So there is a
Right.
huge team. There are more than 10, 50 people
Mhm.
rallying behind each other. Everybody's kind of complementing everybody, each other's understanding.
Right, right.
In a startup, you have to rely on your friends a lot
Okay.
because you want to bounce off a lot of your ideas.
Right.
You have a lot of threats going in your head, and you don't have anyone to bounce off your ideas. So you really want to reach out to your friends, your
Mhm.
well-wishers,
Right.
um, even your competitors for that matter, to really understand and ask, hey, why are they doing what they're doing, or why they're not doing what you want to do? Right?
Okay.
So that you get to learn from their mistake if they tried doing something and you didn't do it. So you have to while it's a lot of freedom that
Mhm.
comes along, that you are your own
Right,
boss, you can manage your own
right,
time.
right, right, right.
You're also racing against time because you have limited time, you had limited money, you want to really build something soon,
Right,
take
right.
when you state you start to make money because you have a family to
Mhm.
support, right? And if
Exactly.
that's not happening, then
Right,
in the
right.
classic definition of a business, which
Mhm.
textbook definition, a business is meant to generate profit.
Right,
So if you're
right,
not generating profit, then
right.
you're doing something wrong.
Of course. So that's
And
again, I wanted to ask, when you are working in a company, you know that, at the end of the month, I'm going to get a fixed salary. But when you're working in your own startup, then you are owning your own risks, your own profits, your own losses. So how much pressure does that create, and how to handle that
Oh,
pressure?
immense. I mean, the biggest hurdle for anyone to jump into their own startup
Mm-hmm.
is essentially the fear of not having a regular monthly salary.
Of course, right, true.
So, for anyone who's looking forward to and anyone who's going to listen to this podcast eventually, my advice is that plan for at least a year of saving
Mm.
to
Okay,
designing your own startup or building your own startup, because it's not going to be easy
of course,
to be able to
understood.
build something and rely a lot on no code tools. You don't
Mm-hmm.
have to invest a lot of money to test your ideas. You
Mm-hmm.
can test a million ideas, and then once you see which one is giving you traction in the market, you
Mm-hmm.
can invest money, invest more technology to scale that up. But don't make the
Understood.
mistake of investing 25 lakh rupees in building a mobile app and then eventually realizing it's not
Right,
working for you because
right,
you didn't
right.
do your research properly, right?
Right,
But
right,
that said, it's a lot of risk for a startup. It's a lot of pain and agony, long working hours. You really want to get done. You don't have
right,
time.
right,
You
right.
want to raise funds. Basically, you
Mm-hmm.
want to be in a space wherein either you have your own validation,
Right.
if you're in the revenue generation stage already, or you
Mm-hmm.
want somebody else to validate and have enough confidence to put their money in you. So if
Got
a
it.
VC is coming, then it
Got
kind
it.
of gives you more sense of it, because when they come to you, they don't
Right,
just give you
right.
money. They also bring their network with you. So you are
Of
then able to
course,
leverage
of
that
course,
network.
of course. Right, right,
So that's what gives you speed. But in the early
right.
days,
Mm-hmm.
you are your own boss, but you are also lonely. It's a pretty lonely journey. It's not for the faint-hearted.
I can understand. So, Sumit, what advice would you like to give to people, who are working in an MNC, and when they shift to a startup, the cultures are entirely different. I have people whom I've seen who have worked in big corporates as well as who have worked in the startups, and there is a complete difference in the way of work. So, what advice do you want to give them? Because some people, get afraid by the thought of joining a startup.
Um, there's not much of an advice, so to say, but more of a personal
Mm-hmm.
um, value of living, so to say.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not happy, be it a
Mm-hmm.
startup or an MNC,
Mm-hmm.
really take a step back and realize and think what's missing. I have seen people who've been with Google and Amazons and Metas of the world and really cursing themselves for why did
Right.
they join. And I've seen people who are thriving and enjoying the chaos of a startup and not eating, not sleeping, on the run all the time, and
Mm-hmm.
and for the same reasons. I mean, Meta is again, Amazon again is a very, very high pressure
Right.
jobs. I mean,
Of
you
course.
have
Of
long
course.
working hours, a
Of
lot of
course.
meetings, a lot of work.
Of course. Of course.
Now,
Right.
people, same situations, right? But then there are different kind of people who are reacting to similar kind of
Mm-hmm.
opportunities in
Right.
different fashion.
Right. 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 Right.
So
Right.
there have been people who've been CEOs and CXOs of startups, and they hated it, even though they're the CEO. They went to a smaller role in an MNC, saying that okay,
Okay.
we can just relax. There's somebody else
Okay.
who's taking decisions. We can be in the
Mm-hmm.
background. We don't have to really, work a
Mm-hmm.
lot, etc.
Right. Right.
Depends on person to person, actually, honestly
Of
speaking.
course.
But my only advice is wherever you are, find your happiness.
Wonderful.
In a job, out of a
Wonderful.
job, your own startup, not a startup, MNC or a small scale. If you're not
Right.
enjoying what you're
Right.
doing,
Right.
something is wrong.
Right.
You will not
Right.
be giving 100%.
No,
And if
that's
you're not giving
wonderful.
100%, you are lying to yourself, you're lying to your boss, you're lying to your family, you're lying to the world.
You like to
You're
yourself,
just
first of all.
You lie to yourself first of all, absolutely.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
smiling every day, but then there is a
Right.
lot of grief in that smile. Who are you fooling?
That's true. You have only one life.
You
Why not
also
give
think
your,
of
why not be
yeah,
happy in that one life? Why
correct.
do just do but people think it's good. Why not to do things that you like, that you love? That's a wonderful advice.
Yeah, I recently read someone said something. I think it was from the Panchayat uh, season 3, one of those thing
Mm-hmm.
that जो लोग बहुत ज्यादा मुस्कुराते हैं, बहुत ज्यादा मुस्कुराते हैं, लाइफ की
बहुत
अच्छी बात
लंबे
करते
होते
हैं,
हैं।
आप उनको हल्का सा जोर से गले लगाओगे ना, रो पड़ेंगे.
So true. So true.
So,
So true. Been there, done that.
so yeah, I mean that's my motto of life. And when you ask me this question of how I'm living, I've had these fancy titles, and I think one of the reasons why I've been able to kind of achieve whatever I've been able to achieve. It's not great that I've been able
Right.
to achieve. It's nothing great about it. I have just given my 100% to whatever I did.
Mm.
Now, one thing which I didn't never share till now, that I'm a tea connoisseur. I love teas. I understand
Oh.
my teas very, very, very well, right?
Oh, wow.
So this is whole MBA chai wala and a BTech chai wali and all that jazz. I
Right.
started
Right.
a tea venture before Chayos opened up. I started a tea venture in Lucknow,
Wow.
which we called as Just Tea, and it's still running. 10
Wow.
years on. The name has
Wow.
changed, but the venture is still on.
Wow.
So
Wow.
tea is again something which really connects. It's the first social network in the world was tea,
Yeah,
right?
we
It
all
connects
when
really.
in the COVID world, when we used to have virtual meetings, we used to call it chai connects or tea connects.
It's all tea, right? So
Right.
um, you you go deep into a subject or a topic that you are passionate about.
Right.
Make time
Right.
for pause, make time for that whole exploration of them. And that
Right.
is really what made me a better PM also, to be honest. It made me
Of
a really
course.
a good product manager, because you have to really explore the space of why should I build this product?
Right. Because in the end, everything comes down to being a product. Tea is a product. A person who's building different kinds of tea, he has to think about how to build that product, how to market that product, what should be going into that product. YouTube, if we talk about YouTube, how to simplify that, I get this icon on the front. That is product management. Everything around us is product. We are working
Correct,
with products
absolutely
day in, day out, be it the IT product, be it non-IT products.
correct. It's $1 million idea if somebody wants to take up. I'm just sharing on a podcast here. So a lot of people are traveling out of India now. If you look at the trends, people are starting to travel internationally even
Mhm.
during their college days. So they have their grad, parties
Right,
in Thailand
right,
and all of
right,
these.
right, right.
Which the time when I was in college, it was not heard of,
Mm-hmm,
right? The
mm-hmm.
tickets were really costly.
Of
There were no
course, of course.
passports. Traveling international was like, oh my God, really? You got to be like really rich dude to travel, to be able to
Right,
afford that kind of a
right,
thing,
right,
which
right.
is now becoming very affordable. So with people traveling outside and they're coming back with those international experiences,
Mm-hmm,
international culinary experiences.
mm-hmm.
Boba tea is one thing and boba coffee is one thing, which if somebody would want to set up a business,
Right,
is $1 million idea today.
right.
One cup of tea, which takes nothing, the cost is really less than 50 rupees, is selling for more than 250 rupees in a
Right.
place like Gurgaon. So you can, if somebody wants to scale that business, here is a big opportunity. Go ahead and make make
Nice.
work for yourself.
That's wonderful, Sumit. What all you have told in this podcast, what my key takeaway is that when you're passionate about something, ideas will come to you. If you're passionate about something, that idea will click to you. And then you will do anything to make that idea work. Because that's what is called clicking,
There is a theory around it. It's called a red card theory. I'm not sure if you've heard of it. Right?
Okay.
Uh, so in last few days, have you noticed how many red cards did you see?
See, mostly people buy white cars, right? A very few people will go into different colors. Personally, I and my husband, we've always bought colorful cars because we always wanted to add colors to our life. So we had a red car. Currently we have an orange car.
Very nice. So the theory essentially that if I say that, hey, every time you spot a red card, I'll
Mm-hmm.
put 1,000 in your account. So now, when you're in the market or in the road, you will spot these red cars for yourself.
Right, right, right.
The red cars are the opportunities that are passing in front of us and we don't realize. Only if we
Nice.
start notice that here
Right,
is an opportunity to solve a
right,
problem and it can be $1 million idea, that if you
right,
are in that set of spotting
right,
these red cards,
right, right, right.
lot of these ideas will come to you, and you don't need $1 million to build your own startups. You can use no-code technologies. You can
Right,
use other technologies
right.
to test it out for yourself.
That's
So
wonderful,
look
Sumit,
for the red
because
bars.
looking out for those red cars and not missing it. We may look at a red car, but we may just miss it between all the white cars going around. So it's
Correct.
mindset, just spot those cars, be focused on those cars, see if you like it,
And
and
solve for
if
it.
you like it, go ahead.
Just solve for it. Just go build it out and test it out in the
Right.
market.
And
Right?
again,
I'm current.
we can face failures, but then that is what life is, right? From a failure, we
I mean,
learn a lesson and we can go ahead with another
life isn't
win.
about failures. Come to think of it, how many successes do we have? If you take a look back in your life, how many moments in your life do you really call yourself that you celebrated, that you remembered, that it happened for the first time? You really cherish those moments. Barely 30.
Exactly. And you know what I feel is you get a success, then you get a fall. Then you get a success, then you get a fall. This is a cycle that
Yes,
keeps on going on and on and on in everybody's life.
absolutely.
And it's not only about their
Absolutely.
careers, that's about life. That's what life is, dusk and dawn, sunrise, sunsets. That's everything what life is.
So if you just lay down the when a failure happens and you don't learn from it and you let it grow on yourself,
Right,
that's a challenge. It's a
right,
signal.
right, right,
Take a turn, take a right turn, do whatever. Don't
right,
walk on that road.
right.
Change your road.
Wow, nice, change your road. That's wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you for all these beautiful advices. And I still will give you one advice from my end. You're so passionate about music, along with your profession. I think you should again start your own band, Antariksh.
Let me talk to these guys today itself. Thank you. Will do.
Thank you so much. It was wonderful talking to you, and thank you so much for being my guest. Have a good day. Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks for having me here. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye bye.